Hello, I am Cardinal Dr. Elizabeth Samantha Rothschild Judge. I am the founder and Chief Executive Officer of Corporate Law and Securities Incorporated, under which auspice I am in attendance at this year, 2024, Generative AI National Security Conference. Now, I remember when I was a kid, we were all being trained for our ambassadorships, and we used to always join into the national security conferences. I don't see any kids in here. Well, then I didn't look. There could be some slipped in from the CIA, but to say the adults present and the keynotes have been excellent. And I just wanted to give a brief overview of what I'll be working on subsequently to this conference as it applies to Corporate Law and Securities Incorporated as a federal agency. All right, we have AI in ethics with automation. So the ethical aspect of it. This would engage risk management and loss prevention, providing resolution for bugs and errors. We would be addressing ethical concerns, programming software updates, threats imposed on national interest. That's just a note that threats imposed on national interest. Awareness is theft of intellectual property. I put a note in my things that I think this would be the perfect time to revitalize COBOL for AI data analysis and process of manufacturing. The keynote speaker that inspired these things to me was Mr. Ron Keesing, the Senior Vice President for Technology Integration at Leidos. Okay, so that was during session one. Also, what I got from session one: rocket science, retraction scales, approved logarithmic expansion techniques, financial issues such as data analysis, in-beam accounting for supplies fragments, irrelevant processes and methodologies elimination. World Bank policy needs to be transcribed in exact replica for reasoning of this era. Constitutional errors only to be addenda. Um, the absolute values of degrees here, meaning credentials, with F of X being behavioral patterns affecting transition to more effective processes. And this was inspired by Thomas Biggs, AI ML Accelerator Chief Engineer at Leidos. Now, the link here is through training modules. And just as I was thinking that, it was added by one of the keynotes during this time. I believe it may have been Mr. Biggs, it may have been Mr. Keesing, that intelligence reports. So it was Mr. Biggs. Okay, intelligence reports. So that came from that speaker at the same time that I was typing into my notes training modules. So this was per speaker two. Okay, so this is speaker two, session one, that said that the intelligence reports need to be done. And these things, this particular notation was derived from Q&A that the speaker was addressing. Okay, further into the session, industrial analysis. Manufacturers lose clues for anticipating fascism. Trying to watch out for that, the preventative measures to control, having to address issues unnecessarily due to fascism, and that's where the manufacturers are losing clues because they're anticipating having to deal with a whole other issue. Okay, so where employees who do not have a degree work alongside those who do and refuse to respect analysis and technology for processes because they are good at being redundant, refusing to embrace advancement of technology for lack of understanding of advancement features. Now, the solution here is to disqualify irrelevant degrees. We are speaking at the command of the lowest rank, still requiring a degree credential, like at least at the baccalaureate, and must be industry relevant. So that's where we're losing a lot dealing with the fascism because the credentials are there, they're just in irrelevant fields. And that is worse than needing credentials and there's not any around, not even at the baccalaureate. Okay. Um, we went into specifications. This was inspired to me. These are things I'll be working on through Corporate Law and Securities Incorporated. Specifications. This is not about admin work at all. This is complete immersion of the industrial force, plant technology. Okay, so we went on into speaker 3, solution for classroom security professors. Now, at the hi. Yes. Hi, I'm trying to ask you. Hi. Pleasure to meet you. Yes. Hi. Pardon the interruption. I will continue to disseminate agenda for Corporate Law and Securities Incorporated, what I will be working on in the field of security as far as our national security from Corporate Law and Securities Incorporated, of which I am the founder and chief executive officer. Let's continue. I do want to make note that these are not verbatim notes from the conference. These are agenda items that were inspired to me from the keynote speakers as they relayed information. So this is not a verbatim repeat of what happened at the National Security Conference. These are the takeaways for Corporate Law and Securities Incorporated, what we will be considering for work to submit at the federal level with regard to national security. And I continue here. A solution for classroom security for professors. Online and in-class combination with isolated context for online students. Cyber unit security assignments. As well, general welfare moderation. Our concerns of our militia are always acts of terror. So identifying threats or acts of terror, threats of terror at the civilian capacity, whereby terror at the international and national capacity is directly corroborated with harassment at the civilian capacity. Cyber fraud. So we want to consider cyber fraud. This is the digital era. Everything is done electronically. And although no one can steal your checkbook, write a check, and then drain your account, they can digitally defraud your bank. So we want to identify threats and what comes next. What comes next so we will know what to do when that happens, when anything happens. Identifying causes of influences where deductive analysis calculations are of no value, no absolute value. Yet, with no value, they are the determining agents. So we want to identify those problems where when in one moment a decision could result and cause a domino effect of wrong action and wrong activity. And when these things are perpetrated by vested authority that will not be removed at the time of the error, we want to secure what is imminent so that what is imminent, what is of true value, will not be compromised or failed beyond repair or damage being complete destruction. We don't want the damage to be complete destruction, so we need to apply security measures. So that would be a balance of AI data impact as well. Further corroboration, AI and media, dealing with sensitive data, resolution, absolute value pool that involves privatized AI for protection of intellectual property. International consensus may provide forum at majority of NATO, NATO. You all are familiar with that. As well, international threats imposed on civil war reprimands. The problem derivative, false media and charges against integrity fraud. Oh, this is a problem. Humiliation of trust and integrity fraud. that needs to be considered in our national security, and my firm will be working on this. Integrity fraud is when the truth and what is right is challenged by falsehood and what is wrong, under the auspice of being good and proper, to get its way, found to have authority over truth and what is right. That's when what is wrong prevails, because it is portrayed to be what is right by a vested authority. So that's integrity fraud. We need stronger enforcement of cyber policy in civil codes. So constant versus variables, no resolution fields, requires constant modulation where there will never be any fixed values. And the spiritual value absolution is found in Mark 14:7, Matthew 26:11, and John 12:8, which relays us to spiritual advisors in politics and a national chaplain's repository. And those were the takeaways. Corporate Law and Securities Incorporated. You all be blessed.